everyone. I'm Dr. Stacy Willey with Complete Balance Chiropractic, a Wellness Way affiliate in the Quad Cities, Rock Island, Illinois. And I'm going to do my quick tip today with you with keeping your boys intact. And we're going to talk a little bit about circumcision. Sometimes it can be a controversial topic, but I'd also like to present some factual information and so everybody can make an educated decision. And first off, we're going to start off with my son. This is a picture of my cute little boy Gunner, and he came home completely whole, completely intact. And my story about this is when I was pregnant with my first, we didn't know the sex right away. And I was just thinking, well, what if we have a boy? Okay, well, are we going to circumcise? So I asked my husband, because I don't have a penis. So at first I didn't think it was really my right to decide, because I know, right to decide what should happen to my son. And so I asked my husband and I said, hey, are we going to circumcise if it's a boy? And he's like, well, yeah, because that keeps him cleaner. And I thought, okay, well, I don't really have that information. But during my pregnancy, we found out it was a girl. But during the pregnancy, I was taking a hypnobirthing class. And in the class, we had a wonderful nurse. She was also a midwife, but she provided us one day with some information about circumcision. Even though we were all having girls in the class, she presented us with some circumcision information, talked a little bit about it. My husband was present. And it was nice to have that information because I knew nothing about it. But we had a girl, so we didn't really have to think about that. But in my second pregnancy, we found out that we were going to have a boy. And that led me to a dilemma because I met some friends in some other groups that were intactivist, if you call it that. But they were provided me a lot of information about circumcision and some of the myths, some of the dangers of it. And so I started to educate myself and do a lot more reading, and I got really nervous because I didn't want to circumcise my son. And I had all this stuff planned. So with my husband, I was going to provide him with, almost a dissertation, a little stack of all this information about circumcision and some pros to keep your son intact. And if he didn't go for that, he still wanted to circumcise his son. After I watched him read every single one, then I was going to have him watch the Penn and Teller. There's a video on YouTube that Penn and Teller did against circumcision, and it was very educational for being Penn and Teller. And I was going to have him watch that. And if he still didn't go for it, I was going to have him watch an actual circumcising video on YouTube, which to me were quite horrifying. And if he could make it through the whole video and still wanted his son to be circumcised, I was going to demand, to me, it's a big deal. I was going to demand that he be in the room with his son while he got circumcised. And so I thought, oh, here we go. I'm going to talk to him about this. And I said, okay, so I went up to him. I said, I really don't want our son circumcised. And I just waited. And he's like, okay. I thought, oh, I presented all this information, but now I have the information to give out to my patients and now out to the public because I think it's a really important topic. So this is my cute little boy. And here is one of my big things is there's no medical reason for circumcision. More than 100 infants die every year due to complications of circumcision. Just not totally to get off on another story, but I remember in my 20s, I was watching TLC and I was watching this show because I love these weird documentaries, but this one caught my eye. There was a set of twins born and they did circumcisions on both of them, but one of them actually got botched where they accidentally cut off some of the little boy's penis. So what they did was they turned this little boy, they decided, well, you're gonna have a girl now. And, this child went through years of turmoil because he didn't feel like a girl. He went to a lot of psychiatric help, still didn't feel like a girl. And the sad part about this, long story short of this whole video, was this boy that was supposed to be a girl, just because they cut his penis off and did more surgeries to turn him into a girl, actually committed suicide because he wasn't who he was. So I think that started the whole thing of me wondering about circumcision and what some of the problems. I had no idea that this was happening. but there is no medical organization that actually recommends routine circumcision. It is just a cosmetic surgery. And to me, for an infant, they don't need to go through cosmetic surgery. They had enough process trying to get out of the body, and they're in this whole new world, and they have a lot of things going on. So the picture that I put up here, this is an actual little thing, the plastic thing they make where they put your little baby boy, newborn, on, and they strap its arms and legs down, and that's how they perform the procedure. So to me, if my son would have to be strapped down and screaming and crying in pain, that's not going to work for me. So to the next slide. So the foreskin actually, as a fact, provides protection, and it also is part for sexual pleasure. It provides protection for the penis. It serves as a little cover. And it's not like you're born with useless organs and useless things. You actually need it. God put it there for a reason. We don't need to be taking it off. Sexual pleasure, I couldn't put a picture, because I don't want it taken off the internet, but it is one of the things. They make ribbed condoms for her pleasure. That is one of the parts of a foreskin. I think it's really important. Caring for and cleaning the foreskin is easy, because that is usually one of the main arguments, and I've heard it all. I've had people try to argue with me, even at nursing homes, it's a hard time, they have a hard time cleaning, the elderly men have a hard time staying clean when they are intact. And, elderly people sometimes have a hard time cleaning themselves in general. So if we teach our children, to be clean and how to clean themselves, and teach our boys how to clean themselves, because it should happen, it's not really going to be a problem. And it's also one of those self-cleaning things, because it does provide there is some lubrication that does get provided. Also, the top number one is you never ever retract the foreskin. I put no one besides the owner of the foreskin should retract it, even a medical professional. I had to remove the pediatrician's hands off my son's penis because she was about to retract that. And if it's forcibly retracted in a baby, it can cause a lot of pain and problems, because it's not supposed to be. It will release over time and be able to be retracted, but as an infant and a little boy, no, let them retract it on their own. It's theirs. Circumcision is painful, and there are risks. With that being said, they do show where they inject anesthetic or something in the foreskin area, but that when they're cutting around that tissue or ripping that tissue, it's not just one nerve that it's affecting. So it is extremely painful. And I challenge you to, if you oppose that, watch one on YouTube and see if they're actually in a lot of pain. Most baby boys do stop crying after a while, because it's actually because they're in shock. It's not because they think it's a great procedure. As a man or even woman, if you have some skin being cut or ripped off of you, you would have a problem with it. And like I said, one of the risks before, there's more than 100 infants die every single year. So education, I strongly encourage you to go visit some websites, intactamerica.org, savingsons.org, and littleimages.org. Another topic I want to touch on that I didn't put on the slides is one of the main myths. I found a couple is it increases the chances of STDs or HIV. Well, no, not really, but you could always encourage safe sex, because that is actually one of the things that will decrease HIV and STDs. It's not as if not having a foreskin is really going to change your chances. And I also want to touch on the topic of circumcision as an industry. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And one of the things they use it for is for cosmetics. And I don't even know what they'd call it, but a lot of people, Sandra Bullock was bragging on Ellen one time about having foreskin injected into her face to make it look younger and more rejuvenated. That kind of changed my opinion. But also in Oprah Winfrey's stuff, there was her cosmetic line, they were talking about how they're using child foreskin for that. So if no medical organization recommends routine circumcision, why is it being done? That's all I'm going to leave you with. This is the Quick Tips with Dr. Stacy Willey. You can check me out at Complete Balance Chiropractic, Wellness Way Affiliate on Facebook. You guys have a great day. Bye.